Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday morning. I was thinking about a lot of the questions that we're getting from scholars and families about the grade book and the new LMS with StrongMind this year. And so I thought I would put together a really quick informational session that highlights some of the features in the grade book for each of the scholars in the LMS. So let me go ahead and start sharing that information. I'm just going to drag this box across and out of our way, and we're going to go ahead and get straight to this. Now, what I've done is I've taken some screenshots. Let me go ahead and make this a lot larger so you all can see it. I took some screenshots of a sample grade book. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video. This is more important than seeing my video here. There we go. Go ahead and make this a full screen so you guys can see all of what I am talking about. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed a sample grade book for everybody to take a look at today. You'll notice in StrongMind in the new LMS that your grade book looks a little different than it did last year in the PSP and in our StrongMind LMS platform last year. There are some great features this year that weren't necessarily available last year. So this is just when you first are taking a look at your grade book, there are some things I wanted to, I lost it. Oh, sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong button there. So when you first look at your grade book for our scholars, there's some things that I wanted to point out. First off, you'll notice this grade right here. It's my little arrow right here. This initial grade is the total score that you've earned on assignments you've completed. So that's kind of the average grade. That's out of the assignments you've completed. When we grade just those assignments, this is what it looks like. This is your grade, just on those assignments. I also want to point out a little tiny thing. Whoops. That's not doing what I want it to. Down here underneath all of this information. So in this box, we have the weighted categories. So you have checkpoints, assignments, discussions, exams, final exams, intro discussions, all these different categories that are in this particular grade book. These can look different class to class, but you'll notice that it totals 100%. So all of these categories are weighted as their importance to add up to 100%. So for example, the final exam in this class is worth 5% of the total grade. Below this category weight box is this box down here. Now, this might not seem like too big of a deal, but this box right here can make a big difference on how you are reading your grade book. Now, the great thing about this is it lets you go back and forth to see what your grade average is on the assignments you've completed and what your grade total or your final grade is if, for say, you were going to stop working in that class today. So we're going to take a closer look at that right now. So this is your default setting. The default is this little box is checked. So that means this grade up here, this 67.75, is the average grade you've scored on the assignments you've completed and have turned in. Now, I've changed my screen. This is what happens to the score when I simply uncheck this box down here at the bottom. When I uncheck the box, it gives you a total score that includes every single assignment in the course. So that gives you your final grade. So you know that at the end of the course, your final grade and the previous grade should be the same. So let me go back to the first screen. This screen shows what your grade would be like for the assignments that you've completed. And the next picture, this is your grade for all the assignments you've completed plus all of the assignments in the course. So this gives you more of a total grade. And all you have to do to find this is simply unclick this little box down here underneath the weighted categories. Now, another really great feature in this grade book is the details. So once again, let me go back up to our previous screen. Here, oops, I lost my little point thing. Still lost it. Here we go. If I look here underneath the score, your grade, it says show all details. If I click on that button, here's what it does to my grade book. It looks a little bit different. So what this does is it shows me score details. This tells me what the high score was, what the low score was, and what the class scored in average, what the mean is. What is the mean score for the entire class? Now, you might ask, why would that be important to me? Well, it's a great gauge for you to figure out if you're understanding the concepts, and maybe you will see, oh, well, I see that most of the scholars are maybe doing really well. I didn't do that well. I'm going to reach out to my teacher and ask for more clarification. Or, oh, I see a lot of the other scholars in my class didn't do well. I bet my teacher will probably talk to us about this at our next learning lab. And then still, I'm going to reach out to my teacher and just ask what I can do, or to ask for clarification for help with that concept. Another great place went by just simply clicking that button. So instead of going assignment by assignment, you can see your teacher's comments here. Now, this is a great feature for you to look really quickly at those comments. Those comments include all of your feedback for your assignments and discussions. For instance, say you were looking and your score was a 50%. You would think, why in the world did I get a 50% on that assignment? Well, simply look at the comments and it might be, oh, I completely forgot my works cited page, or I missed a step in the project. Or say there's a 0 or a 1 and you know that you turned it in. It could be something like, oh, thank you for submitting this. I can't open it. So your teacher might not be able to open that document, but it's a really quick way to look at the teacher feedback and to be able to start using that feedback to revise your work. I also wanted to point out right now I have my default button unclicked. So the grade that will be showing here is that final grade that includes every single assignment. I did just realize, actually we'll go back to look at this in a minute. I forgot one screenshot, but we'll go back and reference this in a minute. Okay, so another thing that our scholars are noticing and learning coaches is the late alert. Now, you ask your teacher, how can things be late? I thought that I can work at my pace and that I just needed to turn things in by January 30th. That is correct. Ultimately, everything in the class is due by January 30th. However, we noticed, and many of our successful scholars will notice, that a key to being successful in an online learning environment is to stay on pace. What these due dates do, you'll see I have it highlighted here. These are the due dates that the assignments are given, and the system will automatically let you know if it is late or if it's missing. Now, this alert turns to late once the assignment is actually submitted. Now, what is the point of this? Why do we need to have due dates, and why do we need to have alerts? Like I simply said, just to help you stay on pace. Now, ultimately, we always encourage our learning coaches and our scholars to sit down and work together to create weekly and daily schedules. But this will help. This could be a tool to help you in creating those weekly and daily schedules. Also, these due dates populate in your calendar, on your dashboard, and within your courses. So this will also help you with that calendar tool that is provided for you to help you stay on pace. So once it is graded, it alerts that it was late. That doesn't bring down the score. It doesn't do anything, it just alerts. Now you'll also notice still that I have unclicked my default button, and you'll continue to see my final grade score right here at 30%. Now another alert that you'll notice is the missing alert. Once again, you'll say, but Ms. Smith, I thought we had to be able to schedule our own assignments and work with our learning coaches to create our schedule. Yes, that's great. We love it when you're working with your learning coach, but once again, this is a great tool to help you with that. So the due dates help with you creating that weekly and daily schedule. This will let you know, uh-oh, I forgot to turn that in, or oh no, I am getting behind. I need to make sure that I get caught up in this particular course. Now, a new feature that you'll notice is this feature. How can I have earned a 0 if I haven't even turned in the work? Well, one of the great things about this 0 feature this year is because it gives you a 0, it shows true progress. So instead of last year where if you hadn't turned in an assignment, it's that you could have turned in 2 assignments in the whole course and your progress grade would have shown that you had a 90%. But we know that that's not accurate and that you've missed some deadlines and that you're behind in your course. These zeros will help you know what needs to be turned in, how far behind you are, and will help you gauge on how much you need to get caught up in your courses. Now, just because there is a 0 here, that does not mean that is your final grade for that assignment. Oh no, it's a 0 for simply to alert you to adjust your average grade. Remember, that's the grade with that has the clicked box, and it helps you just to really organize yourself. You can always still turn the assignment in, even though there is a 0 and even though it has the missing alert. This simply is a tool to help you make sure that you're successful and that you are getting accurate information. What I also wanted to point out, and I guess I will just use this screenshot, in your grade book, say you wanted to get to figure out how many points you needed to earn on your final to push you up to that A that you've been striving for. You can actually click on these little blank dots, these little blank lines, and put in a potential score, and it will calculate that potential score for you. Now, if you as a scholar put that score in, it doesn't necessarily stay there, of course, because your teacher will ultimately grade it, or the computer will grade the assignment once it's turned in. But to help you navigate to figure out exactly what you would need to earn, say on your final or a unit exam to push you up to the next grade, if you click on these little blank lines in your grade book, you can add in a pretend grade, a hypothetical grade, to see exactly how far that would push you over into the next grade percentage. Now remember, in order to look at your grade, your total grade, and your progress grade and your final grade, we want to go back and make sure you're clicking or unclicking that default box. Let me go back and remind us, this little box right here is what I'm referring to. So if it's unclicked and you go through and enter in these hypothetical scores, that will give you a total final grade. If that box is clicked, like you'll notice here, and you put in your hypothetical grades, it will show you just the progress grade, not necessarily your total grade. Now, at the bottom of your grade book, you will see you'll see a grade area. Oh, there we go. Oh, I can't quite. Sorry about that. Let me make my screen a little bit bigger so you can see all of this. There we go. Now, this is the grade area at the bottom of your grade book. There are a few things you'll notice. This first picture here on the top this is with that little tiny box with having a check in it. So this is going to be more of that average grade. So you'll have noticed that with this includes those grades that were zeroed out and the grades that were late. So this, with the box clicked, that little tiny box that we referred to, this gives you the average of what you've scored on the assignments you've completed. So out of the assignments that this scholar completed, the average score that the scholar earned was 53% on checkpoints, 55% on the discussion board, 55% on the intro discussions, and 100% on the project, which gives a total percentage of 67% on the progress. So out of all the assignments that the scholar has turned in, this is the average score they've earned. This gives, out of the points possible of the assignments the scholar turned in, this is the points that the scholar earned out of the points possible of the assignments submitted. And that gives us 67 out of 100 points. Average there, okay? Down below, this screenshot, I'm not sure why this isn't all pulling up, so I'm sorry about that. Let me see if that did not help. There we go. Oh, that makes it worse. Okay, the second picture here is what the gray box at the bottom looks like with the little box unchecked. You'll notice this was our final grade score down here at the bottom. So this is, if you look, these out of all of the checkpoints in the entire course, this scholar is earning a 36%. Out of all of the discussions in the entire course, this scholar is earning a 35%. Out of all of the intro discussions, 35%. And out of all of the projects, this scholar is getting a 33% out of all the projects. If we looked here, oh great, I'm getting 100%, but that's in one of the 3 projects in this course. Here, with that little box unchecked, we get this grade area that shows, nope, I'm getting 33% in this category, in this grade category. And then this is the points earned out of all of the points possible for checkpoints in the course, which would be the scholars earned 477 points out of 1,300 points, and so forth. And then you'll see the average is 30 points out of all of the points possible for the course. So make sure so that when you are looking at your grade book, one of the key areas to look for is that little box. Let me go back up to my first screen. So this little box, this is a great tool though. You'll want to know both of these scores. So for instance, with it clicked, this tells me as a learning coach or as a scholar, okay, out of the assignments I've submitted, I'm only averaging a 67%. That's a D average. I really need to make sure I contact my teacher or work with my learning coach to see what I can do to improve my grade and to understand what I'm learning. So there's one way that helps you. And then by unclicking that little box, this also says, okay, here's how out of all of the assignments, this is where I'm at. I know that I want to be at an A, so what do I need to do to pace myself and to make sure that I'm back on track? So that is the grade book kind of in a nutshell. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. I'm going to stop the recording, and those who are watching the recording, thank you for your time, and please reach out to me at jsmith@compasscharters.org if you have any questions.